Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 172 of Is This Thing Working? Here we are on a Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Good morning, Denise. How you doing?
Good morning, James. I am awesome today on this Friday. It's a wet Friday still. It's still wet.
Still raining.
It's really strange. They said that on our weather, it said it would be kind of cleared out by 9 this morning, but it's 10:30 here in the AM in Texas.
Yeah, it ain't happening
and it's
yet.
still raining.
Before we get started this morning, we got a big show, man. We got a lot of info to bring you, man. A lot of news, a lot of opinions.
That's it.
And that's what we want to make sure is that you understand that our opinions are our own, our assertions are our own. And if you agree with us, man, like our show, share our show. And if you don't agree with us, like our show and share our show. Also,
our podcasts are available to be downloaded on every podcast platform out there. For example, like Apple and Spotify. And you can view us on YouTube and Rumble. And don't forget, you can download the Rumble app and have it at your fingertips so you can get the show notifications anytime we go live, Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. And thank you. We want to thank you so much for listening to us all week, every day, and we appreciate that. And we also appreciate you supporting our sponsors. So listen to Cornbread Hemp for us, please. Thank you.
We would like to welcome our new sponsor to Is This Thing Working? So help us welcome Cornbread Hemp. Their mission is to draw on Kentucky's 250-year legacy of growing hemp, as well as the state's unique climate and soil, to manufacture the highest quality cannabis products available in America. They proudly offer full-spectrum, USDA organic CBD products with up to 2 milligrams of THC per serving. Their plants are grown in what's known as the Bluegrass Basin, which produces the highest quality hemp alongside the best bourbon and fastest racehorses. Cornbread Hemp is one of the very few, if not only, CBD brands in America who exclusively use the hemp flower to create their CBD extract, called Flower Only CBD, and they want the world to know.
Please check out Cornbread Hemp by going to cornbreadhemp.com right now for a 30% off your initial purchase of any products on the website. Again, go to cornbreadhemp.com and use promo code ITTW for this special offer. Remember, you get 30% off, promo code ITTW.
And make sure you click that link below. So let's get started.
Let's do it. Of course, Steve Bannon, he's got 99 days left of being a political prisoner. Oh,
hang in there, Steve.
Hang in there.
Hang in there, buddy. We got you.
We really do need you. But you know what we're doing? We know what our task and purpose is, and that is to get the word out to the posse and to everybody listening. And that is our purpose today. And from this moment on, that is what we will be doing. And we'll be talking about election integrity. That is one of the main topics that we need to continue to put in front of you every single day.
Exactly, because, man, they're going to do their best to steal it, and you know they are.
Yes.
We know it, you know it, they know it, the world knows it. It's going to happen, man, so we got to keep going.
Every voter out there knows at this place in time that Americans' elections are fraudulent enough to change the outcome of elections. And Mark Mitchell was on War Room yesterday, and he brought out an astonishing number that I just have to tell you about today.
Yeah, Mark Mitchell is from Rasmussen Polls, and that was the poll that they conducted.
Yes, and he said, this is what just blew me away. He said 66% of likely voters are worried about cheating in the elections. So that's over half of America that believes that there's cheating in elections. And the Democrats, they have machines already in place.
Yep.
You saw what they did in 2020.
You saw what they did in 22 in Arizona, too.
Yes. I mean, this election in 24 will be on steroids. And really, he did make a good point. He said, it's too big to rig, and it's meaningless at this point. But listen to Mark Mitchell tell us a little bit more information about the elections coming up.
I'm gonna have to do Steve Bannon here. Stop. Right. This is what I want, folks. This is what I want the War Room posse to do. Right. With your what's that pencil he has that he says it so many times, that double whatever it is. Get your pencils out and make a note of this. When you're down at the bowling club, when you're down at the supermarket, right? When you're down at the bar having a coffee or a pint, right? Get this piece of paper out and share it with people. Let people know. Mark, what were those figures again? Tell me again about the likelihood of voters from non-US citizens, and again fear of election fraud in 2024. What are those headline figures once again?
Got to be super careful about what I'm implying. In a 2,466 U.S. likely voter poll of, voters across the country, people who said they vote in elections, 9% of them said either no or not sure to the question of whether you're a U.S. citizen. Now, I have not been asking this question. We don't have a lot of history on this. I can confirm that it wasn't people fat-fingering their phone numbers. I can confirm that it wasn't people who couldn't read because they answered other questions appropriately. This is a stunning finding that people need to not ignore. Other pollsters need to try and replicate this. We're going to try and get more data. Maybe we just got one crazy poll, but guess what? In a 2,500 likely voter poll, margin of error is slightly less than 2%, right? So, this subsample's margin of error is 6 or 7%, is not 9%. 222 of these people said they were not citizens. Now, what's interesting is they vote both Trump and Biden in 2020, and this is the same signal that we've seen in the mail-in ballot fraud questions, which is it isn't a systematic signal of one-party cheating we're seeing. It's just a big free-for-all.
And he's right. It really is. It's a big, huge free-for-all, man.
And what are we going to do about this? We are fighting as hard as we can against the government that is in charge right now, but they have totally turned our elections into a federal government. Yeah. The federal government is now taking over our elections so that they can continue to stay in power. And we have someone that we listen to quite often, and what he has to say is extremely important. And I want you to listen to Mike Benz on the War Room.
Yeah, talking with Dave Bratt.
Now, of course, this has sort of become a bit of a joke, given that our definition of democracy is now completely indistinguishable from autocracy. We have vassal states like Ukraine, which don't even hold elections anymore, and they're said to be democracy. You have Biden hitting Trump with 91 felony charges and 1,000 years in prison time until this SCOTUS immunity decision came down. That's said to be democracy. Censoring the media is now said to be democracy. But, to your point around DHS plays a really interesting role in all of this, because DHS has now served for about 7 years as one of the main connective tissues between the foreign policy establishment's Department of Dirty Tricks Abroad being laundered against U.S. citizens here at home. DHS was obviously set up in the immediate aftermath of 9/11, and it was, sort of initially supposed to be this counterterrorism vehicle to stop another 9/11. It has now spawned into mission creeping control over a dozen different federal agencies, including TSA, but also including the Secret Service.
And so you hear what he said. The DHS was originally created to be this next type of security force, this next type of policing that they would do to help monitor terrorism or to keep it from being here in our country. And that was what they were originally set up to do. But as me and you both have learned in the past 6 to 8 to 10 months, and especially through great reporting by Laura Loomer, we learn about the NGOs at the border, and we learn about the NGOs in Panama at the Darien Gap, and how that those NGOs, HAIS, RCM, they're NGOs set up there to bring these people across the border, and they were registering them to vote. But the interesting point with that is those NGOs, you can tie them back to the DHS of today, and you can tie
That's
them
where
back.
they're getting their funding from.
That's exactly right. And you can tie them back to Alexander Mayorkas. And also, they even threw another $3.5 billion in a bill just back in March to continue to fund these people, man.
Yes, and our Congress is enabling this to happen. They're in on it. I mean, they are in on the steal of America. And I don't understand why there has been no one out there that has filed a lawsuit against the executive order that Joe Biden put in, 14019. Remember that one?
Yeah.
I haven't seen a lawsuit against that. That gives every government agency permission to register voters. And still,
whether you're a citizen or not. And just like what Mark Mitchell pointed out of 2,466 people that they polled, 222 of them said they were illegal, but voted anyway. So that is, like he said, 9%.
it is amazing.
Think about that. Out of 160 million voters, possible 160 million, age eligible voters, 10% of that's a chunk, man.
It is. And what we want you to do, what our task and purpose is, to fight back against the government grabbing our elections, we need you to please share the flyers that we have been discussing for the past 2 days for the SAVE Act. We need our Congress to pass the SAVE Act in the spending bill. It is an emergency. This is the only way that we have a shot, even a little shot, of the people actually using their voice to vote out bad policies.
Introducing Coffee Brothers Coffee, where every cup tells a story. From our carefully sourced beans to our artisanal blends, each sip is a journey of flavor and quality. And whether you need a morning pick-me-up or a midday treat, Coffee Brothers has you covered. Taste the difference today. And join the Coffee Brothers family and elevate your coffee experience to new heights. Whether you're starting your day or you're taking a moment to unwind, let us awaken your senses with the perfect cup of coffee. Taste the difference with Coffee Brothers, where every sip tells a story of passion, quality, and excellence.
Please click that link below. Hey, we've been talking about Chris Wray yesterday on in the hot seat in front of Congress. And boy, has that just upset a few people. I don't see President Trump getting an uproar, unless they're coming after him like they have for years and years. And he will, get on his Truthsocial and he'll make a statement about it. And people get so mad at his tweets or his truths or whatever. But that's the only way that he really gets a chance to talk, because he doesn't get anything on CNN and MSNBC, so he has to put out his statements his way. And he put out a statement yesterday that slams Chris Wray in this explosive statement on Truthsocial.
Yeah, this is what he said. He said, FBI Director Christopher Wray told Congress yesterday that he wasn't sure if I was hit by shrapnel, glass, or a bullet. He said the FBI never checked. But he was sure that crooked Joe Biden was physically and cognitively uneventful. Wrong. That's why he knows nothing about the terrorists and other criminals pouring into our country at record levels. His only focus is destroying J6 patriots, raiding Mar-a-Lago, and saving radical left lunatics like the ones now in D.C., burning American flags and spray painting over our great national monuments with zero retribution. No, it was unfortunately a bullet that hit my ear, and it hit it hard. There was no glass. There was no shrapnel. The hospital called it a bullet wound to the ear, and that's what it was. No wonder the once storied FBI has lost the confidence of America.
And he's absolutely right. And then this morning,
do you know when I lost my confidence in the FBI? I mean, as an adult, when I began to really open my eyes to what the hell these people are really doing, Waco, Ruby Ridge, that's when I really began to go, man, y'all are dirty as hell. You'd always heard all the conspiracy theories throughout the years and the J. Edgar Hoover, stories and all this kind of stuff.
JFK story.
Well, yeah.
Of course, that was CIA.
That was CIA, yeah. But just the FBI as a whole, you always heard those stories, but you somehow believed in the government system. But I'm telling you what, when I seen what happened at Waco, that's where I turned.
Yeah. And, and the no transparency thing. I mean, how do you expect the American citizens to trust an agency that holds 9/11 stuff, that holds the Oklahoma City bombing stuff, that holds everything that, for 20 years, 23 years. So, I mean, they keep it until those people have died, and then they let all this information out there. But, in the interim, you've covered it up. To us, you've covered up important history events that we needed to know.
And protect them by saying the words pending investigation. And that's what's so ridiculous.
Exactly.
That's why we knew the other day, like with Kim Cheadle going into the hearing, that nothing was going to get done. Because all she has to do is say pending investigation. And that somehow covers her and him. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. And the FBI should, I'm just going to state this, the FBI should have already investigated President Trump. Why haven't they already talked to the victim this was an attempted assassination on a former president.
3 victims, matter of fact.
Yeah, exactly.
4 if you could talk to him.
I know. And they have not talked, they have not
even
talked to
his
President
family.
Trump at all.
They haven't talked
about
to
what
Trump.
happened. They're coming out and saying maybe it's shrapnel. And I get why he would be frustrated.
Why, sure.
And then all of a sudden the FBI wants to come out and give a statement here. Here it is from Fox News.
Yeah, it says, since the day of the attack, the FBI has been consistent and clear that the shooting was an attempted assassination of former President Trump, which resulted in his injury as well as the death of the heroic father and the injuries of several other victims. The FBI's shooting reconstruction team continues to examine evidence from the scene, including bullet fragments, and the investigation remains ongoing. I kind of watched Fox News this morning, and they done their little computer rendition of the shooting, and where it all looked. And they even come up with the thing that, the sniper couldn't see through the trees. He didn't have a clear shot. But, the one thing that I've always learned in life is the truth comes out at the beginning.
Well, you see what happened.
You know what I mean?
You see what happened when they said that the roof was sloped too much for someone to get up there, and how the social media went nuts over that. So they had to just bring you out a new narrative.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but everyone has looked at this photo. Everyone knows where it's out. And you pointed it out to me. We watched it very clearly. We've seen different photos when we went to other we researched other options of photos of the whole scene. And I'm sorry, but where Fox News points, they weren't even standing like you had said.
Right, exactly. They tend to put the stage more out toward the darker, less traveled on grass. They tend to put the shooter back toward the left-hand side of the picture, back toward the tree line. And that's all crazy. And then again, too, if you watched videos of him that people have showed where he got up on the roof and began to crawl across the roof, headed up there to the peak, to me, that video looked like the opposite side of the building of where they're pointing. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
So
I do.
Look at
totally,
it.
They're totally
guys.
trying to change history.
Well, you look
That's
at
what
it,
they
guys,
always
and
do.
Tell me what you think.
Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about where the shooter was or wasn't.
And that's kind of...
Or the FBI snipers, where they were or weren't. Because, I even mentioned a couple of times that why did it go quiet on the snipers? The original...
The counter snipers.
The counter snipers. Why did it go quiet? At first they came out with statements and then boom. You didn't hear anything about them. Now, all of a sudden, that's because the tree was... That's their statement?
That's what I said. Most of the time when an event happens, the truth will be the first thing to come out.
Yes.
Immediately.
Immediately.
If you cover it immediately and you talk to people immediately, a lot of that, there's going to be a lot of truth in that right there. As the situation progresses, that's when the bullshit and the propaganda and the misdirection and the lies come out. And that's what we've seen. Do we have clear answers yet?
No. And we're not going to. And the propaganda continues and will continue. And if you notice, it's very bad right now because they're trying to, prop up Kamala Harris. They're trying to prop her up. And, Kamala Harris, she came to Texas, Houston, Texas yesterday. And they were so excited, ABC News 13. I'm just going to let you listen to them. Listen to what they have to say about Kamala Harris coming to Houston.
ABC 13's Liliana Pearson was there this morning in downtown Houston and joins us live with more. Liliana.
Yeah, good evening. We know that inside the room, this was a loud, proud, definitely pro-Harris group. In fact, this was actually the first major union to endorse Harris for president. And we do know that Harris was here today. She was speaking to this National Teachers Union as their keynote speaker. And in her speech, she reminded people that she's a product of public education and therefore a proponent for protecting it. One of the issues she addressed as a threat to public education is controversial voucher programs. She also spoke out against the controversial act of banning books in schools, a practice we've seen across Texas.
And while you teach students about our nation's past, these extremists attack the freedom to learn and acknowledge our nation's true and full history, including book bans. Book bans in this year of our Lord 2024.
And keep in mind, Harris was here talking about how teachers, school staff, these are people that know what's best for their students and for their classrooms. Meanwhile, going on in the background here in Houston and at HISD is that controversial state takeover of the school districts where teachers have been telling us they feel like they can't speak up in their classrooms. From downtown, I'm Liliana Pearson, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
Well, sure they can't speak up in their classrooms because they don't allow conservatives to speak.
But she told a bunch of lies there, too.
Yes.
Yes, she did. Michael Q. Sullivan of the Texas Scorecard called her out on this, man. Check this out. In his podcast this morning called the Texas Minute.
Speaking at the American Federation of Teachers Conference in Houston this week, Vice President Kamala Harris made a number of spurious claims. Among them were assertions that the Biden-Harris administration has forgiven student loans, that Donald Trump wants to cut Medicare and Social Security, and that conservatives are banning books. The problem for the untested Harris is that now that she's suddenly the Democrats' presidential candidate, people are actually studying her words. Each of Harris's Houston claims have been found to range from being outright fabrications to misrepresentations of fact. For example, Trump has explicitly stated that Medicare and Social Security will be protected by his administration. Similarly, courts have blocked most of the Biden-Harris student loan programs. Harris County Republican Party Chair Cindy Siegel derided the vice president's claims and cited them as, quote, indifference to the real issues Texans are facing.
Ain't it interesting, the difference in the two reportings there?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what the propaganda is doing at this point in time. So you really do have to research and find the real news anymore.
Is this thing working?
Rise up.
Well, hey, everybody, that's it for today. Thanks for listening, and I hope you've enjoyed the show. Hope you've learned some things about what's going on around us in the nation and in your communities. You know, we couldn't do this without your continued support either. We appreciate all of you showing up, taking the time to listen to us today. So please, like I say, make sure to hit the like button, share our show with all your friends. We'll see you next time on Is This Thing Working? And as always, I'm James, and that's my lovely co-host over there,
Denise.
and we'll see you next time.
We're out.